Welcome back. Tonight we're diving into the darkness, but with a twist. We all know dogs as loyal companions, but sometimes they become something more, our protectors against threats we can't see. These are true stories, submitted by people like you, of ordinary pets who became extraordinary heroes. From home intruders to unseen dangers in the wild, these dogs stood between their humans and the unknown. So, if you have a furry friend nearby, pull them close. You might see them in a new light after tonight. Let's begin. Our first story comes from Mark, a tale of unexpected bravery and a bond that deepened in the face of danger. It's a reminder that heroes can come in the most unassuming packages, and that sometimes the greatest protectors are those we least expect. Mark lived with his wife, Sarah, their lives peaceful and ordinary, nestled in the comfort of their suburban home. They were a young couple, building a life together, their days filled with the simple joys of companionship and shared dreams. Little did they know their tranquil existence was about to be disrupted, and completing their cozy family was their beloved golden retriever, Max, a furry companion with a heart of gold. He was more than just a pet, he was a member of their family, a source of endless affection and laughter. They lived in a quiet suburb, where the nights were usually filled with the gentle sounds of crickets and the distant hum of traffic. It was the kind of neighborhood where everyone knew each other, where children played freely in the streets, and where the biggest concern was usually the occasional misplaced newspaper. Max was a lovable goofball, always eager to play fetch, chase squirrels, or simply cuddle on the couch. He had a perpetually wagging tail and an infectious enthusiasm for life that brightened every room he entered. He was definitely not a guard dog, more of a gentle giant, content with belly rubs and naps in sunbeams. His days were filled with simple pleasures, and he seemed to have no concept of danger or malice. But one November night changed everything, shattering their sense of security and revealing a hidden courage within their furry friend. The air grew colder, the nights longer, and an unsettling feeling crept into the quiet suburb. Mark and Sarah were fast asleep, lost in the peaceful oblivion of slumber, unaware of the danger lurking just outside their door. The house was still and silent, save for the gentle rhythm of their breathing. Suddenly, a deep, unfamiliar growl pierced the silence, jolting Mark awake at 2 a.m. It was a sound he had never heard before, a primal warning that sent shivers down his spine. Max stood rigid at the bedroom doorway, a silhouette against the dim light filtering in from the hallway. His usually floppy ears were perked up, his body tense and alert. His fur was raised along his back, and his eyes were locked on the dark hallway, burning with an intensity Mark had never witnessed. He was no longer the goofy, playful dog they knew. Sarah, still half asleep, whispered, "What's wrong with him? What's going on?" Her voice was filled with confusion and a hint of fear, but Max didn't budge, his focus unwavering, his body a statue of canine determination. He remained steadfast, a silent guardian standing between his family and the unknown threat. His growl intensified, a low, guttural rumble that vibrated through the room, a clear indication of the danger he sensed. It was a sound that spoke of unwavering resolve and a willingness to protect. His gaze was fixed, laser-like, on the top of the stairs, as if he could see something lurking in the shadows, something that threatened his family's safety. Mark's heart pounded in his chest, a frantic drumbeat against the silence, as a wave of fear washed over him. He knew, with a chilling certainty, that something was terribly wrong. He realized this wasn't a false alarm, not a stray cat or a rustling bush. This was something real, something dangerous, something that had triggered Max's protective instincts. Then, a faint creak echoed from downstairs, a sound that confirmed their worst fears. It was the unmistakable sound of someone moving, someone who shouldn't be there. Someone was in the house, an intruder had breached their sanctuary, and their peaceful night had turned into a terrifying nightmare. Max exploded with a bark, a deafening roar that shattered the silence and sent adrenaline coursing through Mark's veins. It was a sound Mark had never heard before, protective, fierce, a declaration of war against the intruder who dared to threaten his family. Chaos erupted below. The sounds of a struggle, a desperate fight for safety and security filled the house. There was a crash, the shattering of glass, snarling, a man's panicked shout, a desperate cry for escape. And then the back door slamming with a resounding thud, signaling the intruder's hasty retreat. Mark, his hands shaking uncontrollably, fumbled for his phone and called 911, his voice trembling as he reported the break-in. Max's barks echoed from the first floor, a triumphant chorus that announced the victory over the intruder, a testament to his unwavering courage. Police arrived to find a scene of disarray, a clear indication of the struggle that had taken place. The back door was broken, splintered wood and shattered hinges a testament to the intruder's desperate attempt to escape. Muddy footprints led away from the house, a trail that marked the path of the fleeing intruder, a silent story of his panicked retreat, and a pile of electronics lay abandoned by the door, ready to be stolen, but now forgotten in the intruder's haste to escape Max's wrath. The officer scratched Max's ears, a gesture of gratitude and respect for the brave canine who had defended his home. He looked at Mark and Sarah and said, "You've got a good boy. He saved you tonight. You're lucky to have him." Mark and Sarah hugged Max tightly, burying their faces in his fur, overwhelmed with gratitude and relief. They realized he'd faced down a dangerous intruder without hesitation, putting his own life at risk to protect them. From that night on, Max wasn't just their pet. He was more than just a furry friend or a cuddly companion. He was their guardian, their protector, the furry hero who had saved them from a terrifying ordeal. The goofy retriever had stared into the darkness, unflinching and brave, ready to defend his family at any cost. And the darkness blinked first, retreating in fear from the unexpected courage of a golden retriever. They owed their safety to the 100-pound lapdog who had transformed into a fierce protector when they needed him most. He became a hero in the dead of night, proving that courage can be found in the most unexpected places, and that the bond between humans and animals can be stronger than any fear. Our next story comes from the heart of the wilderness, a chilling encounter shared by Chloe, an avid hiker with a spirit for adventure and a deep love for the solitude of the trails. She's always sought solace in nature, finding peace among the towering trees and whispering winds. But Chloe never ventured into the unknown alone. Her constant companion on these wilderness trips was Bear, a loyal and intelligent German Shepherd mix, more than just a pet. He was her furry guardian, her confidant, and her best friend. He was always up for an adventure. One autumn night, as the days grew shorter and the air crisper, Chloe and Bear found themselves deep in the heart of the Pacific Northwest, where the forests are dense, the shadows long, and the silence profound. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple before surrendering to the darkness. Chloe, seeking a secluded spot, had set up camp far from any sign of civilization, nestled amongst ancient trees, with only the sounds of the forest to keep them company. The crackling campfire was their only source of light, casting dancing shadows on the surrounding trees. But as darkness truly fell, something changed. Bear's demeanor shifted subtly at first, a barely perceptible change in his posture. His ears perked, twitching slightly as he strained to catch a sound Chloe couldn't hear. His body became tense, every muscle coiled and ready to spring into action. His eyes, usually soft and gentle, were now fixed on the woods, narrowed with suspicion and a primal alertness. Chloe, noticing his unease, tried to reassure him with gentle strokes and soothing words, hoping to calm his heightened senses. But Bear remained vigilant, standing guard between Chloe and the darkness, silent and focused, his gaze unwavering. Driven by a growing sense of unease, she shone her flashlight in the direction Bear was staring, piercing the inky blackness. And then she saw it, a fleeting glimpse of two eyes, reflecting the light back at her from the edge of the woods, positioned at human height. Someone or something was out there, lurking in the shadows, watching them with an unknown intent. A low growl rumbled in Bear's chest, a sound that deepened with each passing second, a clear warning to the unseen presence. He instinctively planted himself firmly between Chloe and the encroaching darkness, a furry shield against the unknown threat. A wave of fear washed over Chloe, chilling her to the bone. She was miles from the nearest road, completely isolated, her only companion the brave dog at her side. Without hesitation, Bear suddenly lunged forward, breaking the tense silence. He unleashed a torrent of barks, a ferocious display of protective aggression that Chloe had never witnessed before. The sound was enough to startle whatever was out there. Branches snapped and cracked as something crashed through the underbrush, fleeing into the deeper recesses of the woods. Bear, undeterred, continued barking, his voice echoing through the trees, ensuring the intruder was well and truly gone. Only then, satisfied that the threat had been neutralized, did he return to Chloe's side, nudging her hand with his nose, checking to make sure she was unharmed. Overcome with gratitude and relief, she wrapped her arms around him, hugging him tightly, realizing that Bear had just saved her from a potential predator lurking in the darkness. Sleep was impossible that night. Chloe stoked the fire, keeping it roaring, its flames casting a protective circle of light as Bear stood watch, his eyes scanning the perimeter. As the first rays of dawn broke through the trees, painting the sky with hope, she packed up their camp, eager to leave the unsettling woods behind, Bear never straying from her side. As she drove away, leaving the forest behind, a wave of gratitude washed over her, stronger than ever before. Bear hadn't just scared off a wild animal, he had protected her from something far more sinister, a human presence with unknown intentions. In the unforgiving wilderness, Bear was more than just a loyal companion. He was her guardian, her protector, her lifeline, and her hero. Their bond, forged in the face of danger, was unbreakable. This story comes from Alex, a young, adventurous college student. He wasn't your typical student, though. While his peers were hitting the books or partying, Alex was consumed by a different kind of pursuit, the paranormal. He devoured books on ghosts, haunted locations, and unexplained phenomena. Alex wasn't alone in his ghostly endeavors. He had a loyal companion, a scruffy terrier mix named Buster. Buster was more than just a pet. He was Alex's partner in crime, his furry sidekick on every spooky adventure. Buster, despite his small size, possessed a brave heart and an uncanny ability to sense things that humans couldn't. He often explored haunted places with his loyal terrier mix, Buster. One fateful night, Alex, eager to test his ghost hunting mettle, convinced a few friends to join him on an expedition. Their destination? The infamous Blackwood Manor, a place whispered about in hushed tones around campus. Blackwood Manor was a decaying Victorian house, its silhouette clawing at the night sky. It was rumored to be cursed, a place where tragedy had woven itself into the very fabric of the building. Locals spoke of strange occurrences, unexplained noises, and a lingering sense of dread that permeated the grounds. From the moment they arrived, Buster was visibly terrified, whining incessantly, his tail tucked firmly between his legs, refusing to go anywhere near the house. His usually bright eyes were wide with fear, and he trembled despite Alex's reassuring pats. Alex, caught up in the excitement and perhaps a bit blinded by his own bravado, dismissed Buster's fear. He convinced himself it was just the darkness and the unfamiliar surroundings. Ignoring Buster's fear, they entered the manor's gaping maw. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of decay and dust, a chilling reminder of the house's long abandonment. The temperature plummeted noticeably. It was cold, the house silent except for the muffled crunch of their footsteps on the debris-strewn floors and Buster's increasingly distressed whimpers. As they ventured deeper into the manor's labyrinthine corridors, Buster's anxiety grew exponentially. The shadows seemed to dance in their peripheral vision, playing tricks on their eyes. Upstairs, at the end of a long, dark hallway, a heavy wooden door creaked open by itself, revealing nothing but impenetrable blackness. Suddenly, Buster let out a piercing yelp, a sound filled with pure, unadulterated terror. He tried to bolt, pulling with all his might against the leash, desperate to escape the oppressive atmosphere of the house. Alex, startled by the outburst, held tight, trying to calm his frantic companion. Then, a faint, chilling hum, like a discordant note played on a forgotten instrument, drifted from the open room. It resonated deep within their chests, a sound that seemed to vibrate with malevolent energy. The bravado that had fueled their exploration quickly evaporated, replaced by a primal fear that gripped them all. Before anyone could react, before they could even process the unsettling hum, Buster broke free from his leash. He began barking frantically, a desperate, high-pitched sound that echoed through the silent house. He started nipping at Alex's heels, herding him urgently toward the stairs, his small body a whirlwind of frantic energy. Alex, confused and disoriented by Buster's sudden change in behavior, stumbled back, trying to regain his balance. But Buster was relentless, pushing him backward with surprising force, his small body acting as an insistent, furry battering ram. The group, finally understanding the urgency in Buster's actions, turned and fled, scrambling down the creaking staircase in a chaotic rush. They burst outside into the cool night air just as a deafening crash erupted from within the house. The second floor, the very spot where they had been standing moments before, collapsed inward in a cloud of dust and splintered wood. A thick cloud of dust billowed from the shattered windows, obscuring the already darkened interior. The air was thick with the smell of old wood and pulverized plaster. The hallway, once a passage to the unknown, was now a gaping chasm, a testament to the destructive forces at play within the house. The group stood in stunned silence, staring in disbelief at the ruined house. The reality of what had just happened slowly began to sink in. If not for Buster's frantic panic, his insistent herding, they would have been buried alive in the rubble, victims of the manor's deadly secret. Alex, overwhelmed with gratitude and a newfound respect for his furry companion, knelt down and hugged Buster tightly. He realized that Buster had sensed the impending danger. Maybe the groaning of the weakened beams, maybe something else, something beyond human comprehension. That night, Buster wasn't just a scared dog, he was a hero, a rescuer, saving Alex and his friends from a fate sealed by their own curiosity and a house's hidden malice. He was a testament to the powerful bond between humans and animals, a reminder that sometimes the smallest creatures possess the greatest courage. Alex never went ghost hunting again, the experience at Blackwood Manor having shaken him to his core. And he never, ever doubted Buster's instincts. From that day forward, he knew that Buster was more than just a pet. He was a guardian, a protector, and a true friend. Our final story is from Maya, a university student who often walked home past dark alleys, watched over by a stray she called Shadow. For weeks, Maya left food for the wary dog, forming a silent bond. One rainy night, as Maya hurried home, she sensed someone following her, footsteps echoing in the darkness. Fear spiked as the steps grew closer. Suddenly, a low growl cut through the rain. Shadow emerged from the alley, transformed from timid stray to fierce guardian. He placed himself between Maya and her pursuer, lips curled, eyes locked on the threat. The footsteps stopped, silence hung heavy. Shadow's growl intensified, a clear warning. After a tense moment, Maya heard a curse and retreating footsteps. The danger vanished. Only then did Shadow relax, turning to Maya with a soft whine. Overwhelmed, Maya knelt and reached out. For the first time, Shadow let her touch him. That night, Shadow walked her home, and she welcomed him inside. The stray became her protector, her friend, and her hero. Maya knows a simple act of kindness saved her life, and Shadow stepped out of the darkness to return the favor. 4 stories, 4 reminders that our dogs sense danger we can't. Max, Bear, Buster, and Shadow each became a hero when it mattered most. These aren't just creepy tales, they're proof of the unbreakable bond between humans and their dogs. So tonight, look at your dog and remember, you have a guardian by your side. Hug them a little tighter, and thank them for their silent watch. If you have your own story of canine heroism, share it in the comments below. You never know, your story might be featured next time. Until then, stay safe and trust your dog's instincts.